and welcome to the Fans POV at Anime Boston 2013. I'm your host, John Angolia. With me here are...
Mike McDonough.
Peter Mingley Rawan.
Charles Dunbar.
Thank you, everyone. So, to kick this off, let's talk about our expectations for the con. Anything in particular you were expecting this year to see this year at the con? Anything you were excited for?
Nothing. Nothing specifically. I'm just always excited for Boston because it's a good convention. I haven't been disappointed ever. Well, except that one year.
LionCon? Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Oh, well, are we talking about any disappointments now, or?
We'll get to that. Talk about it now.
Okay. The only thing I was a little disappointed in, well, it's not really their fault, but like the bag checks made the lines go really slow. Like there was actually a huge line to get in the convention, on Saturday morning. But yeah, other than that, I didn't have any problems with the convention. It was a great place, great time.
Yeah. What about you? Any expectations? Anything you were looking forward to?
Yep, I was looking forward to playing some video games, especially Guilty Gear and Tekken. That was kind of disappointing. There wasn't enough Tekken stations. But some advice, like when you go to a tournament, always be prepared, always practice, and else.
I never know what to expect from Anime Boston because the con always finds a way to surprise me. Even in the years where I've had like questionable experiences, like in 2011 where we tried to sandwich 5 people into a tiny hotel room and that is all I remember about the con, I still can't say that I have like crazy expectations coming. I like to come to this con without any, so this way I'll always be pleasantly surprised, as opposed to, overinflate and then all of a sudden say, oh, this didn't happen. That said, it's Sunday and I'm feeling a little bit unfulfilled. There's so much of the con I didn't see this year. Normally I have a couple hours to just wander around aimlessly and absorb. I never got a chance to really do that this year, and I'm feeling like I missed out a little bit on just the feel, because to me it feels like the crowd this year was awesome, but I never got a chance to really interact with them.
Yeah, I know what you mean about that because I had to keep running back to the room to charge batteries, so I missed like a lot of wandering around that I usually do.
Yeah, same here with the whole running back and forth, especially since this con in particular, I was carrying a lot of things. In addition to the camera, I was carrying this giant poster tube because one of my expectations for the con was they had some staff members from Sword Art Online here. They had the director, the producer, of the Japanese director and producer, and some of the English voice actors here. And they had a deal, if you buy a wall scroll, you get a ticket for an autograph session. So I didn't think I'd be one of the first 200 to buy the wall scroll, but I was, and I got the ticket. So I ended up waiting online for the autograph. So I was carrying this poster tube around with me. I was carrying my bag with my iPad. So yeah, that kind of was a bit of a hindrance for the con. But overall, I certainly enjoyed it. Yep.
Actually, one of the things that I didn't carry a bag around with me at all. I didn't want to deal with the bag check. So I just saw those lines and said, I'm just going to walk into the con, walk out, walk. The bag check moved fairly quickly, but I again, didn't want to deal with it. My big thing was those elevators in the Sheraton. At one point, they only had 2 of them running in the South Tower. I ended up running up the stairs to 9 every single day because I couldn't stand to wait. On Friday, I had a half hour to get to a panel. I spent 22 minutes of that half hour waiting for an elevator to show up. And I don't know what the Sheraton was thinking this year, because we were seeing elevators not stopping on floors, just going all the way up, all the way down. And it's like, okay, if you have someplace you need to be, this is not good.
Yeah, there's actually a trick to doing that to skip floors, but that's usually used by police.
Oh my, people were actually using a trick to not stop.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a real dick maneuver.
Those cheat codes.
Yeah, that reminds me of a particular Katsucon a few years ago. I think it was the year before they moved to the Gaylord. The elevators in the hotel. There were like 2 elevators in the whole hotel, and the con took place on the first 3 floors, and it was just getting from floor to floor was just atrocious.
People didn't realize you could take the stairs to get up to floor 3. The problem with the Hyatt Regency in Crystal City is You don't know about the back staircase. So you know the escalators will get you up to 2. But how do you get up to the panel rooms? There's a stairwell in the back. The only reason I knew about that stairwell was because I use the stairs whenever I'm at a con, and I went from all the way upstairs. I ran down and found where it spit me out. But it's like, I hate when you go to a con and it's like a huge hotel and there's only like 3 elevators. Then invariably, one of them goes down. Then invariably, 2 of them go down. Very big criticism I have of the Sheraton. The elevators, at some point they're supposed to have 6 elevators, and at some point only 1 of them is in service.
One thing I have to give props to this con though is this con is notorious for this building really, the Heinz Center, notorious for the escalators going down. They didn't go down this year, at least not to my knowledge.
There was one point I think on Friday or Saturday night where there was the escalators needed to be serviced. But that was the only time I saw it. It was late at night, and it was like when no one was on the floor, they serviced the elevators, and then that was not an inconvenience at all.
Great. So let's move on to our next topic. Let's talk about our first impressions of the con. Anything in particular that you noticed at first that you'd want to make note of?
Not really, other than like bag checks, but
Yeah.
Repeat the question one more time.
First impressions. What were your first impressions of the con?
My first impression, it's like just another con like always, just another day.
Oh yeah, I'm in Boston. Oh yeah. Oh, I don't have a bag. I'm in the convention center. Oh yeah. That is pretty much how I've been viewing the entire weekend.
Let's go in there.
Yeah, I mean it's Anime Boston. The con has been pretty much the same type of experience for the past several years. It's always been great in my personal opinion. The only difference this year, and I'm sure many will agree with me, is the bag checks, as previously mentioned. A bit of an annoyance. I realized this was not Anime Boston's decision. This was actually a decision of the Heinz Center, and this was a decision made even before the incident with the bombing. Still kind of annoying. Wish we could do without it, but I guess it was deemed necessary. All right, next topic. I know we kind of went into this a little bit earlier, but let's go into a little bit more detail. So any compliments? Let's start with compliments of the con. Anything good that you have to say, and then we'll go into the critiques.
I'd like to compliment the medical staff because there was an incident at Cosplay Chest and they reacted very quickly and it all went very smoothly. So props to them for that.
Yeah, about the DMT. Wish I was there, but I only signed up for fire service. My compliments that they basically changed the rooms for Artist Alley and the game room, so it was more maneuverable for the Artist Alley, and there was no wasted space for the game room, which actually happened last year. Thank God.
I gotta say, like, all the security that I encountered this year was really chill. You'd expect people who aren't from con security to maybe have like the proverbial object inserted in the proverbial place, but they were really chill. Like really, they wanted to get people in quickly. They were really talking to people. They didn't, as far as I know, none of my friends got yelled or screamed at. The security was like just totally chill. One of my friends is a cross player, and like security was taking pictures of him in his dress because he looked really good in it. And I was really like, even though they had the bag checks and it was a bit tense, it was still laid back enough where you didn't feel like you were being scrutinized. And that was really great. It took a while for the Artist Alley to grow on me because I liked the old location. But no, they did really well at the Artist Alley. The dealer's room this year was quite fantastic. I didn't spend a lot of time in it, but the layout and the selection was quite fantastic. And the tech ops this year in the panel rooms were great. I had a faulty projector in one of the panel rooms, and they fixed that thing up so quickly. It was really well done. So they run a tight ship here, and that's kind of the important part.
I completely agree about the security guards. They definitely did seem a lot more chill than they have in previous years. In fact, one of them even said goodnight to me as I was walking out last night, and I just thought, that's not something a security guard would usually say to you. They usually just like, get out. As far as compliments go, I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record here. What? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You don't have to go home, but you can stay here.
I mean, I say this stuff about Anime Boston every year. I really love this convention. It's got one of the greatest venues that a convention could possibly take place in. I mean, the Heinz Center is just so well laid out. In comparison to other cons, like Otakon, the Baltimore Convention Center doesn't exactly have the greatest layout. Whereas the Heinz Center, it's very simple, 3 floors, rooms lined up nicely. It's just very easy to find where you need to go. They use the guidebook app. So if you need to know when your panel is or where it is, it's just with the touch of a few buttons, you'll find out where to go. There's maps within the app. It's great. And yes, there are numerous updates. So, but that's okay because there's free Wi-Fi here. And another thing I mention every year, love the free Wi-Fi at the Heinz Center. Really, it's almost a necessity at cons. Really wish other cons had it. Dealer's room was fantastic as always. Really easy to get around. Things were spaced widely apart enough so that we could actually move. Not too much crazy traffic gridlock situations going on. And yeah, that's it. I love this con. Let's talk about critiques now. What issues did you have with the con?
Let me get back to you on that.
Okay.
Issues with the con?
Yeah, any critiques you have about the con?
Actually, I didn't have much of an issue. I'm pretty much laid back all the time, so I can never tell.
Okay.
Mine's not really a critique, it's more a comical situation. Neither myself nor the head of panels realized that all of my Saturday panels were scheduled within 15 to 30 minutes of each other. So the moment one would let out, I would be having to get ready for the next one. And I was terrified that my body would give out on me. It didn't, because it's Sunday and I feel better today than I did when I got here. But that's the only thing, was nobody noticed that I was giving all my panels in a row. It took up the entirety of yesterday. Running back and forth between the hotel room and the panel room was the entirety of Saturday from about 1 o'clock on. That was the only, I guess you'd say, the only criticism I have was that. But you know what? These things happen. I'm not dead. I don't care.
Oh yeah, I thought of one. They kind of jammed up the exit on I don't remember if it was Friday or Saturday, where it took 10 minutes just to get out of the convention center.
Yeah, on Saturday.
Oh yeah, and that was kind of a serious fire hazard right there. Mm-hmm. But they fixed it up because later in the day it was moving a lot smoother.
I really don't have much to say as far as critiques go. I mean, I could say the bag check, but again, that's not Anime Boston's fault. I could mention that 2 of the bathrooms were out of service, but that's not Anime Boston's fault either.
Free bacon.
There was no free bacon. Okay, there's one fault. Yeah, I have nothing to say. just those 2 things, and that's being extremely nitpicky. So next topic. What was your favorite moment of the con? I'll start with Peter.
My favorite moments? Honestly, God, I gotta say, it would have been the hentai dubbing extravaganza. I was just laughing my ass off. My abs were literally hurting because I was laughing so much. My goodness.
Mine are always so self-serving, but I was getting good crowd reactions yesterday. A lot of the panels I was running were over capacity. A lot of panels I was running, people were still coming in midway through and someone walked out. And the crowd yesterday was one of the best ones. I woke up yesterday morning feeling kind of flaggy and really tired. And then by the end of my second panel, all my energy was back, completely restored. I felt great. That's the thing I love about this con. And I tell people, people who are coming to Anime Boston to do panels for the first time, they get a little scared, oh, but it's Anime Boston. It's 20,000 plus people. I'm intimidated. All I gotta say is, this con has an amazing built-in panel audience. They love you as long as you put together a quality panel and you are teaching them something or keeping them entertained. They love you for it, and that's something that I really can say. If you've never done a panel at a con, do one here. You're not going to find that guy who jumps up and says, "You suck." I've never had that happen in the 4 years I've been running material here. I've never had that issue. So that's kind of the moment for me, would be things like that, just reminding me why I'm still doing this after 5 years.
I can't really pick a favorite moment just because there was lots of good times at this convention because I always have a fun time. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, I guess my favorite moment of the con, so I'll mention a favorite and a runner-up. Favorite would be the Yosei Teikoku concert. I was not a fan of theirs. I really didn't know much about them other than the fact that they did the opening to Future Diary. Several songs from that series, actually. And I went to their concert really not knowing much about them, and I walked out being a fan. I'm going to definitely be checking them out on iTunes or wherever I can find them. They put on a really good rock show. And there's nothing better than a good rock show to soothe your nerves. Also, not to toot Charles' horn here, but the anime openings panel, 50 years of anime openings, was really great. Very educational for someone like myself who really hasn't been into anime except for like the past decade or so. So it was nice seeing some of the older shows. And like especially how the styles have changed over the years, and old compared to new, especially like with the space battleship Yamato, how they redid that opening. That was really quite something. Yeah.
That's the main reason why I put both Shin Mazinger and Yamato in that panel, is because you can just see Shin Mazinger, same designs, completely out of the park. Yamato, they kept it as true to form as possible, but they just updated everything and gave it a bit more of a feel. But it's like, when you watch the evolution going down the line of the different anime openings, you can see how far animation has come from those 15 to 18 frames per second to using the CG to get maximum effect, but still keeping the flavor. That's why I do that panel. For people who just don't have, it's like you see the opening, but you don't understand how important they are. And that's why I do that one, and that's why I love structuring it the way I do. I'm glad you liked it, though.
Oh yeah, I wasn't the only one. That room was packed, and that's another thing. I guess okay. Let's go back to the critiques. One critique I have is, and I say this probably about every convention that there is, they don't give the proper size rooms to the big panels. Like a panel like the one you did should have gotten a bigger room. And there are some panels in room, I think it's 206, which is that corner room. That were completely packed as well. I think they could do a better job putting the adequate size panels in an adequate size room.
Yeah, I had when I looked at the panel scouting and I'm like, hey, wait, I'm in 206 for panels that have been in like the big rooms before. But you got to understand something. This year they got a lot of industry, they had a lot of guests, and they had a lot of special programming for people coming in. And cons say they give priority panel rooms to the guests, and that is, you can't fault a con for doing that. You really can't.
Yeah, definitely not.
I mean, some panels will draw, but you know what? The fans can come back year after year, and if they don't get in one year, they can do it again. Even I cycle panels after a few years. I brought Modern Mythology back after 3 years because a lot of people hadn't seen it, and I wanted to do it. It was in a room that was like half the size, a quarter the size of when the first time I gave it. But you know what? I'll give it again. I'll be back again. When you're going to get Nabashin back again? When you're going to get Sunrise back again? So if you look at the ones that were in those rooms, like some of the bigger rooms were the game show room, which they did nothing but game shows. The guest programming was in the bigger rooms. I can understand doing it. The only critique I had about that was they could have done a panel swap with me. They could have put my openings panel in Hall D, and they could have put my yokai art panel in that room, and it would have probably worked out better. But you know what? They schedule, and they have like their standards for scheduling, and a con that sticks to their standards for scheduling, they're professional about it. So I'm not going to say anything about it. I got a chance to present, people got a chance to see it, and you know what? If a bigger room opens up next year and I run it again, then they'll put it in a bigger room for then. At least they have their standards and they stick to them. There are so many cons that don't do that.
Good.
Plus, they have to try and actually guess how many people are going to try and go to any particular panel, so that could be hard sometimes.
I'm sure I know there's a lot of guesswork involved in it. I'm just saying, like, panels that have historically been more popular, like the openings panel is always a popular one, and it always packs the room. So why not give it a bigger room? I mean, do what you can. I mean, that's the kind of panel, like he said, probably should have been in Hall D, because that's where it's got 2 big video screens as opposed to one, and everyone's not hurting their necks looking to the right, and it just makes more sense to put it there. So, let's move on to ratings. So, what would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, give Anime Boston 2013?
Well, the integral of X, and no, I'm just kidding, 7.5.
Yeah, also around a 7.5.
Okay.
I give The Crowd a 10 easily. In terms of personal enjoyment, I give it about 7, only because of the way my schedule worked out this year. I didn't get a chance to experience the con, but the crowd earned their 10. They earned their 10 hard.
Probably going to go with an 8. As always, it was great. Loved it. It was not perfect. That's probably, except for the few minor faults I pointed out earlier, it was perfect. So I would give it an 8 out of 10. Probably even an 8.5. Let's go with that. Yeah, I thought it was pretty great. Do we have a calculator or averages?
There was until you changed it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It was 7.5. Okay, so let's go with a 7.7 average. Let's say about. All right, something like that.
If we're wrong, the right answer will be right here.
Yeah. Well, we'll have Ernie put the right answer up. Okay. Will you come back next year?
Yes.
Definitely.
Schedule permitting, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Same with me. I wouldn't miss Anime Boston ever. So, all right. And that's a wrap. We are Out of Time Productions. You can, and well, I'll get to that. We are Out of Time Productions. This is our show called The Fans POV. You can follow us on Twitter at The Fans POV, all one word. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/TheFansPOV. Instagram.com/TheFansPOV, and OutOfTimeProductions.deviantart.com. Next time you will see us is, I'm not really sure. So we'll just have Ernie put the name of the next con we'll be at on the bottom of the screen there so people will know. And you'll find us there. See you later.
just turn around instead.
Taxi cab conveniently right in my way. Thanks, guys.
And now a bunch of people.
And now a bunch of fucking fucks. God damn it. God damn it.
Now let's see. Oh look, there's no parking spots, John. There's one parking spot with a cone in it.